right and all riggedy right. July the 3rd, 2026. Family, welcome in. We're going to get the open right out of the way here. And then we're going to go in. And then we're going to leave it where we leave it, family. Again, as I've said on this podcast before, right? And y'all welcome back. Welcome into the podcast. As I've said before, family, people are going to agree or they're going to disagree on some things that we say here on this podcast. That's just the nature of things. But it is my responsibility, like it is to us all, whether we choose to do it or not. Say what we got to say, leave it on the table and go from there. That is a man, that is a woman, that is the call of a child, that this is the thing, right? This is what we do. This is part of communication as a family, right? And we accept the penalty thereof or the reward thereof. I think it is necessary here in the first few seconds of saying this, and we don't want to, we understand, right? And we're just going to get into it. We're just going to get right into it. We understand this weekend is Masters weekend. Okay? People going to get up in arms. We're going to play a clip today of some things that happened, and we're going to go over the history of some things that have happened in a certain place of a destruction that has occurred in New Mexico, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Okay? The site of that which is the horror of the Trail of Tears back in the day. Again, family, we said that today is Masters weekend. For those who want to pull from that and say that there is some holiness and sanctity to these lands, you are not wrong. You're not wrong. But this is Masters weekend. We're going to end on a good note, kinda, I guess, if you say, if you want to look at it that way, because we're going to have a conversation again. Although your brother talks about life and talks about history and all that kind of thing, we also mix in other things like sports, right? We'll talk about money a little bit. We'll talk about health a little bit. Your brother is in good health, by the way. When you got to regulate your blood pressure and blood sugar, ladies and gentlemen, that's something that's important. That's something that we live by here on this podcast. We've always talked to y'all about the importance of health. I am no different. See, the beauty of this podcast is that I'm not telling y'all anything different than I'm not living. I think it is disingenuous to hear multiple podcasts that use their background, that use their pull. And although that's a thing we should do, right? We should aim to use our influence, which is a big word, right? We got some other words on the table. We're going to talk about them in a second because there's a few things that are on the docket that we will speak on in the upcoming future, right? That are needed to be spoken on. Certain words that have to be, diligence is one of them, right? The word patience. The word lazy, right? Patience is one that I've already talked about, but we want to bring something to light. I left a lot of meat on the table. If you go back in the archives there, they're all on Spotify, right? There's a good part to say this here before we get into the open. I know I'm a few seconds in here, a few minutes in, just to share my heart with y'all. Spotify, Pandora, and Apple. The name of the podcast is A Different View. The artist name is KJ. There may be a few different views there. We'll work on a title that brings some stuff here. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments, right? Something about podcasts, different ways that folks can look at it, talking about it, just to end off this thought on influence, right? I work on trying to keep things linear so people can stay along. I've had a few friends tell me like, hey, KJ, man, a lot of thoughts rattling that brain, bro, but you're going to have to find a way to keep that track all moving in one spot. And I'm like, yeah, I hear what y'all are saying, right? So, with that said, let's use our influence, brothers and sisters, to create some change. Simply put, right? and folks with millions of views, this is an encouragement to those who are entertainers, influencers, and everybody else in between or on the low part of the totem pole. It's time to start using our influence to create some change. This is where we're at, right? And that's what we tend to do over here. It doesn't have to be popular, but it has to have purpose. Okay. And that's where we're at. It's got to be impactful. Okay. Part of this episode is going to go out to our Native brothers and sisters. It's going to go out to, as they say, Black Americans, or whether you want to say, some people will say African American. Again, all of us ain't from Africa. We're living somewhere. I understand people go back to this. Well, all people came from and so on and so forth. Family, people were living where they're at. Leave it at that and then go from there. You know, again, too many times, like we're talking about this weekend, people are trying to find excuses to hide the fact. And we're going to get into an article here. Just to, again, we like to educate, right? Last time we talked, we spoke on the word Sankofa. That comes from our Gahenian brothers and sisters. Go back and get information basically means to go back, get, right? In this case, information, right? And move forward. That's what this is. And the information you're getting that you're going back to get is to help you move forward. Brothers and sisters, you can't move forward unless you go backwards to see what's going on. That is the foundation. Our ancestors, I understand. Now, again, as a Christian, folks going to have problems with what I'm talking about. As a Christian, I don't, though. So there's certain sections. We seen an article in the news here that I guess a certain section of Catholics has left the Catholic Church or been excommunicated by the new Pope there. That's historic. Okay, so we don't, we don't take it lightly. But again, it's just this is what goes on. Okay, and the same thing goes for inside the Christian church. We see y'all are okay. Y'all are okay with Massa. You are okay holding up the high holy banner of Massa, using the cross, the Bible, God, the Holy Spirit, and everything else to do it. We see y'all. Okay. You're okay cutthroating your brother and sister, your grandmama, your mama, and your daddy. We look. This isn't for division, brothers and sisters. This is for the opposite. It's time for those who disagree to just come on in peace. I ain't got to go fighting you. I ain't got to go hunt you down. That witch hunt thing was trash. And again, we could get even more poignant about this weekend. But again, we're just going to be blunt and say it in this manner that it is Massa's weekend. We have had innocent brothers and sisters die. Right? This because we're normally right about the time we start talking about the military right now. Family, they were put inside of I'm a wrestling fan, right? One of those other topics we're going to get into is wrestling, because we're going to talk about the last couple pay-per-views. And again, what your boy sees is the current direction of WWE and AEW. Okay, those are the two major promotions battling it out right now, putting on a show for the fans. So we're going to have conversations on those, right? I don't always bring in Ring of Honor and stuff. For those who are wrestling fans who listen, we get it. We talk about the two major ones that are putting out major imagery content for people that we have to be aware of. Okay. Our brothers and sisters in the military that defend us under the holy law of defense in this land, in this universe, in this reality, have been put on the slab by Massa to protect them at the cost of those soldiers, whether male or female, young or old. Because again, you go historically, everybody is picking up some pitchfork something to fight for Massa, not for the idea of freedom. It's the idea of Massa's freedom. We got to say it that way, family. When you don't, listen, this is coming from your brother. Again, you don't agree, we get it. When you don't, you continue their mess to go on at your expense. It's that simple. When you look in places like, and I forgot to, I got so keyed up on talking with y'all like normally, I forgot to hit the sound on the phone there, so my apologies. Again, when we don't, we support them at our expense. Brothers and sisters, to be quite honest, ain't no bombs bursting in midair except for the ones that was over this land of innocent people living here. Your Mexican brother and sister, your native brother and sister. Again, we're going to get into an article here before we get into the rest of this here. Of course, your black brother and sister. We understand that the president want to play around with birthright citizenship. Again, we understand it's just a play for massa. Listen, he can say what he wants. Don't you know that the deceiver is a very, something that I had found out, right? When you look up the word trick means a skillful illusion. Let's see if I can do it in real time here while I got y'all before we continue on and then wrap up for today. Let's look at the word trick for a second. Not whoop that trick. We ain't talking about Trick Williams right now, okay? As far as magic or performance, right? This is from vocabulary.com. A clever or illusory feat, right? A prank, a ruse, a hoax, a scam, deception. I'm just going off the top. This is off of Merriam-Webster's dictionary. When you get into the etymology of the word, again, we're just doing this. We're just doing this in real time, family. We don't mean to ruffle no feathers. Come on now, right? Old North French, right? So again, most of the language that you're speaking is coming from the captor. Another one of these things that we doing, all hail 250 years or what? See, again, we said this is mass to celebrate. This is time for them to, wave Union Jack 2.0. Because again, that's what that flag is. It's just a rebranding of another nation's colors over the ones that are here, right? Because what we did, we replaced the staffs and some nations have flags, right? Some native nations have flags in different ways that they showed their tribal affiliations back in the day, right? Okay. Looks different, wasn't the same as the United States flag. So before people go crazy with your brother, we understand that. Okay. But we replaced all of that to put up a European new version. One of the words, family, that we were going to get into before we finish off Trick's etymology is update. For some odd reason, many people think that this is 2026. And because you think it's 2026, or because you're listening to Massa telling you it's 2026, that something's different now. That that ain't nothing. Sisters, talking to the ladies one time. Shout out to the ladies who listened to the podcast one time. And we didn't even do the open. Maybe we'll wait, right? We'll do it another day. Because this is important today, right? Update. Okay, this is coming from Oxford's dictionary. The word update, of course, you've got multiple different definitions for this. When you look at the first one, a report or broadcast that gives the most recent information about something. Family, we told you that they keep studying you. And just to put this on the table, unfortunately, both for, let me do this right so that I'm not messing up. Yeah. So for both Austin Metcalf, we are not caping for so-called white folks right now. And for Carmelo Anthony, our hearts and prayers go out to both. I am done on this kind of idea, brothers and sisters, where we have to pick and choose. When you're talking about the script, you are told to choose ye this day whom you will serve, to choose life. In a different passage in the script. Again, we say script because scripture, the base of the word is script, like a script in a play. So the thing, like we said a long time ago, family, we're failing an open book test as far as life is concerned. Me, you, everybody on some level. Okay. That's the part that keeps us humble, which is why you can see with a lot of people, there's a lack of humility. Listen, it is in varying degrees in us all. So I'm not going real hard on nobody right now. We're just saying what it is that we have to be aware of. Our hearts and prayers go out to both of these young men. One has lost his life as a result of operating in, listen. You're talking about what goes on between white and black folks. If you're telling me that Carmelo Anthony took out, again, we're not on TikTok, so I can say certain things. The brother took out a pocket knife to go and kill another. Now, listen, take the white and black part out of it, but of course, we understand this is Frisco, Texas, where this went down. You look up you look up if there was a history of racial tension in Frisco, Texas back in the day. If slavery had anything to do with Texas back in the day. We just finished celebrating Juneteenth. That's Galveston, Texas. Right? We talk about the annexation of Texas. That's land that was taken by the United States government from Mexico. You can make all the excuses you want to. Why? They stole land from the Mexican people. That area, like many areas on this nation, is stained in the blood. This is why I'm saying, whoever's 250, that's your 250, God bless you, but not over here. Okay. That's a time of reflection, a time of prayer, a time of preparation, a time of forgiveness. Our hearts go out to both of these young men. One got 30, I think he was either 35 or 38 years, 35 years in prison. Okay. Again, you have to listen. This to our black brothers and sisters. One of these things we assume, going back to something I had said, we assume that everything over here is cool because it's 2026. It's not. It's updated. All it is, again, trick. Now let's tie all the things together. If trick means, let's go back into it. We're looking at the etymology now that you can find on Edym Online. A mean ruse, a crafty or fraudulent device. From Old French North, a crafty ruse or mean trick. Again, you're just reusing the word. So it's a ruse, family. Let's do this in real time. What's a ruse, y'all? Do we know? A clever trick. You see? It's a crafty. Listen. Look, the folks who deal in deception, they don't think them as dumb as you think they are. They are not. They're just dealing in the opposite energy that the rest do. So while you out there trying to go to work and come home, or go to school and come home, or go to the gym and come home, go to the supermarket and come home, go to the game store and come home, there are people out there doing the opposite. That does not mean you have to be like them. It means you have to be aware of them and ready to defend yourself. So brothers and sisters, what we say readily on the podcast, we've said it about the city budget. Know your city's laws. Know them. Know them like you can find a video on TikTok. Know them like you know that good TV show that you watch. Again, we're going to talk about one here at the end here. And Lord willing, we're going to talk about this. We had 15 minutes. We're a little past 15 minutes. Know about it like you could talk about something from history, family. City, state, federal. Know them. Why? Because they do. And they make sure they use them to hurt you. Don't you know using self-defense has a certain code system in Frisco? Y'all look it up. So to use the defense of, see again, we are not studying them like they study us. So this is trick. Okay. Update is just to update the information that's collected on somebody. It's the same stuff. See, when you talk about your phone and your computer, listen, when you do an update on Windows 11, it's still Windows 11. They've just changed around some of the stuff, right? When you do the update on your phone hasn't changed from the Samsung Flip, whatever, right? It's the same damn phone. Family, we have to get the gravity of stuff. See, sometimes I don't even like putting music on things, man, because it's just good to hear words. Again, words bringeth life, life and godliness. Huh? Look, you can get caught up on all the ways of the delivery of the words, but the power there, nobody got a problem with hip hop, the way words are delivered there. Rock and roll, the way words are delivered there. Right? Matter of fact, a beat is used to be able to inject those words into your psyche. Come on, somebody. Listen, at the end of the day, we have to be more aware of how the man works and how the unman works, right? So how good or how bad, depending on how you perceive it, right? Because again, those who operate in captivity, disproportion, right? Downright slavery, they see it as a good thing, family. And the opposite does not. That's the way it will always be. So in order to protect yourself, you're going to figure out which one you see. Again, we talk about this with patriotism and the word nationalism. Again, both of them have to deal with what you are finding that is like holy or something to hold on to that's like just and true wherever you live in. Family, we don't. Well, some do clearly because, you know, they griggity great grandpapa worked hard and all that kind of thing. You're in the master system. And the word slave means Slav. Slav is coming from Europe over there. They have no problem doing harm to their own people, family. I need y'all to understand that. Now, if they have no problem doing harm to their own people, what will they do to those who don't look like them? And that's where you're getting all the rest of this. Again, you need to be family, and you looking at Carmelo Anthony and Austin Case here. You better be careful of people you going around. We ain't no track meet, going under no tents, whether it's raining, snow, sleet, hailing. You can look at all the different things that happen here with how this tragedy went down. Family, no. We're not doing it. We're not going off isolated. None of that, man. Do it like you would a this is with some people now. You're gonna have to be a judge. Okay. This is what we mean by our prejudges are broken, family. Again, get certain things out of your psyche that cloud your vision. This way we can make proper decisions in business and friendships and relationships better. Because come on, man, we tired of watching good men and women brokenhearted because folks just won't do the do right. Come on. Think you can, again, we talk about men. I'm a man over here. We going to talk about men. Men doing wrong to women's not going to work. Then when they get mad at you and call you out, we see in the black community all the time, it's all over. Then they call you out on your mess. Now you talking about it's the woman. See, we in that Adam complex. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. We've been doing it this whole time. It still ain't working. They still mad at us. Again, the script tell you, humble thyself under the mighty hand of God that you may be exalted in due time. Yet, for some odd reason, we keep holding on these verses talking about we the head of the house. Then how does that work? How does that work? But you want that woman to submit to you. Yet you won't love her. I don't understand. But never mind. This is a trick, family. This is a clever illusion that the man is using, making you think it's all cool out here. No, it's not. They're still okay shooting you from the back of a pickup truck. They're still okay. All these different, we keep seeing these little instances here in 2026, like the end of 2025. People hanging themselves. For all of a sudden, black folk hanging themselves from trees. We don't know how. This just showed up. I guess they just did it, right? They just, Negroes is done and living under the system. We're just going to be hanging ourselves. That ain't never happened yet. Not in history, never. But we know who has. Again, family, this is their holiday. So you be careful. And you defend yourself. You protect yourself. Right? Stay at home, let this mess die down for a little bit, and then come on back out. So, while we got a few minutes here still left, we're at 24 minutes. Again, we're going to get into other words here. Again, that word update, listen, this thing is just updated, right? And speaking of update, for the listening audience, because we can't use this for copyrights, right? This is where we end on a good note. talking about some stuff from Disney Plus. I don't know if y'all know it, but we are the second day in, right? Since the release of X-Men 97 Season 2. So without further ado, let me get some tea. The missus gave me some tea. Shout out to you, honey. We present to you the X-Men theme by me. X-Men Season 2 was so awesome, family. And very apropos that we hit the kids cheering there because this thing's about the youth. Power to the youth. Interesting. To the elders out there, we talking 40. You get those some of the 30-year-olds in there because you start to thinking that you're kind of half young, but you're starting to get older. So you start talking about the 15s and the 20-year-olds a little different. We get it, right? We've been there. We get it, right? As a 46-year-old, we get it. Okay. The 40 to 50, the 60 to 70, the 80 to 90-year-old. Right. This one going to be for y'all a little bit. OK, we have to understand our view on the youth is highly skewed from massa. I was listening to a message, a very high message, and we were talking about it last time, dealing with this rod of correction thing. Again, a rod, a stat, we're talking directional. OK, when you look at the words rod, once you get past the part of whooping. Right, because this is all we know. But massa was whooping us on the plantation. Normally, you get a good spanking from your Catholic sisters, right? In these schools. Speaking of which, it's a good chance to stop right here and just to play this. Okay, again, this information may be rocking to a little bit to some folks. We don't mean to be vulgar here. We mean to be educational. We mean to be informational. And we're going to go from there.
During the moment, part of the building's roof collapsed as firefighters work to get it under control. Tonight, crews are still working on hosing down hot spots.
And police say a suspect is in custody. Leah Chavez live in Santa Fe.
Yeah, good evening. This fire continues to smolder tonight. Crews over my shoulder continue to battle this fire. For the people here, this is more than just a news headline. It's personal.
The building is very compromised at this point with no roof on it.
Dramatic scenes in Santa Fe Thursday. St. Catherine's Indian School engulfed in flames. Firefighters spent hours in brutal heat trying to save what they could. But tonight, the damage is severe.
Sadness. It's really sad.
St. Kate's closed its doors in 1998 after it was too expensive to maintain. People all around the area with personal connections here.
Our grandfather was a boarder here at this school, and my grandfather's cousin Bob Chavez was a painting teacher here, so it's close to home.
The late aunt of Jessica Brewster, who lives down the street.
She was a teacher at this school in the 1960s, St. Catherine's Indian School.
The school reopening a history some see as painful.
You know, Indian schools are pretty controversial because they were taking Native American children away from their.
I want to stop here just for 2 seconds, brothers and sisters. The word controversy. I want you to look at the word controversy real quick. This is just, we may go over a little bit. My apologies, right? We're not gonna go too far though, because again, we got stuff to do. Controversy, sometimes you gotta sound it out, right? A prolonged. This is coming. Now this one is. Let's see. I want to see. So this is a combination. Let's see. Longman Pronunciation Dictionary, Cambridge English's Dictionary. The state of a prolonged public dispute or debate. Family, the word debate, I think I've gone over it before, but we're just going to say it right now. The word in the etymology of the word debate is to fight. There is no fight with this. When you talk on England, England, all of this is coming from Europe somewhere. Anyway, on some level, on a lot of levels. There is no dispute. What's the public dispute? Brothers and sisters, it's against those who are the enslaver and the enslaved. The enslaver is going to tell you this is good for you. The enslaved clearly do not believe so. Which side of you, family? Look, we're not doing this is not violence, nothing. We're talking about history, right? Everybody want to figure this thing out. This is simple. The invaders came here. They used the guise of we're poor and we're tired and we're hungry and we're smelly and you could see it and all that kind of stuff. And because you're good natured people here, no different than what happened in your home, especially with abusive men. And again, men lead. But KJ, I don't understand why you keep going with the men all the time. Men lead. They lead the numbers. So we going to lead off with them. We don't. I had a person talking to me about King David and Bathsheba and trying to put some of the blame on Bathsheba because, she's in a position where she's bathing and stuff like that. Brother, listen, this is the same kind of brothers. Please listen to me and sisters too. Just peer in the window for a minute. Other beliefs too that don't believe in God. We get it. Just peer in the window for a minute. Because this is talking about human function now at this point. So you ain't even got to you don't even got to believe in God to take the truth from this one. At the end of the day, if that woman is stripped down, twerking right in front of you, bro, you can walk away, right? You're not tied down to a chair. In this case with David, he peering from a window. Close the shades, bro. See, again, we leave outs for each other. No more excuses. If you want to get better in life, this is for me, like anybody. If you want to get better, let go of the excuses, right? As a man, you ain't, She could be doing the Macarena real good in front of you, bro. Walk away, right? We got all of this male power and muscles and this, that, and the other. It was cool while I was walking, man. The dude don't even know me, but it was, another guy just walking, he's walking, doing his thing, just stretched out his hand and just a, high five word of encouragement, man. Shout out to brothers who got that kind of mentality working out here, out in the earth, right, with each other today. That's the mentality as men where we got to get to. That's the mentality as women where we got to get to. It's about cheering us on. You see it a little bit more with women, or either it's advertised more with women, right? Because I'm sure some ladies will stand up and testify that you got some backstabbers out there just the same, right? There's no controversy. There's no debate with this, family. The invaders came, stole land, took stuff. We're going to get into an excerpt from a book down in North Carolina here. Lord willing, the next couple episodes we do, just to let you know how off this thing is and how much you are needed because of how off it is. Just to let you know what it is out here, family. You've been picked for the dark brown and tan skin tone, and also for some of the pale and light skin tones. You've been picked to do the work for folks who are not going to do it. Damn it, they ain't going to do it. It's for you to do. It's that simple. So you can't sit here and tell me I'm not going to stand up for workers' rights. We ain't going to do that over here. When you look out in Oklahoma and they refuse to, I'm sorry, I just can't get into this X-Men thing here until I get past this. We ain't going to sit here and look at this. Some of the things in this stuff is just too real. So get your boy going anyway. We're not going to sit here and look out in the state of Oklahoma and see news articles where y'all don't choose to vote for wage increases because you're trying to protect the jobs of the elders. We ain't doing that. So you're a little under Massa's system. You're screwed one way or the other. So whether you protect and regulate, well, as a small business owner, you ain't going to be able to pay for this, that, and the other, KJ. If they increase their wages, you ain't going to be able to pay for it anyway in Massa's system, family. That's the part we don't get. They're going to put the squeeze on you to get the most out of you. That's why you see small businesses less and more private companies more, or big businesses, private company, big business, private owners, single, that they have their own thing. These big businesses, they're just taking that little leeway there to put in these massive money making machines. and push you out of the way. But that's historic, family. That's how it works. Again, it's like we don't realize how massa operates. We thinking that it's something different, or we're listening to some cute thing they say in some message to whoever somewhere, and we start falling in love with it. But it's the same thing happens. Again, what happened out in the street happens in the home first. We fall, whether female or male, for the cute words people talking about. They got no action behind it. And then from the pain of us doing that, we further tie up our blessing, taking that into the next relationship or interaction with humans that we get into. Because everybody not the same. Again, many walk the broad road, and some walk the narrow road. We missed that. So again, ain't no controversy. Let's finish off this article.
Families and made them go to these schools to learn how to speak English and how to live with white people, and made that, they weren't allowed to speak their languages.
The fire tearing through the campus.
Had a dormitory, a chapel, and another dormitory that are all kind of interconnected a little bit, and that was kind of our main structure that was on fire.
And at this point, do you think it'd be safe to say that all of those buildings are a total loss?
I'll also say this here, and shout out to KOAT 7 ABC News out in New Mexico there for breaking the story. This is something just recent as of today, right? 8:30 in the morning today, right? Depending on where you're at. Maybe it's not 8:30 in the morning. There's this idea, you see this older lady here, and you can find it. One says one person in custody, unlike the Nottoway plantation, where there was no one really that had anything to do with this. We wish that if something like this had happened, and I know you Christian brothers and sisters real mad at me, Catholic ones real mad at me too. Let me tell you something. You should have had nothing to do with a boarding school. That's what this was. And there ain't no Indian school. When you look at it historically, it's a boarding school. So let's not play the game here. This was a forced thing using the Holy One of Israel. You gonna sit there and make a school ripping away the culture of the people God created, right? We ain't going there like God didn't create them. Okay, so whether they believe that or not, it's not our business. See, this is the piosity. This is the lack of humility. This is the devil-like nature that you see in the church. Devil just means adversary. So before y'all start going there, please don't go there with your brother. Okay. This is wrong, and it's something you got to stand against, or don't. Right? It's that simple. That's why we say ain't no controversy. It should have never happened. And it's something we're supposed to work to today. Oh, KJ, well, this ain't Shangri-La. No. That's an excuse. This is the time where we work on changing this. So before you get up in arms, well, my great-grandfather was working there, my uncle and my grandfather, they were working in a hellish environment that should not have been. Again, in the script, James talks about bitter and sweet waters not coming from the same fountain. That's not how it's supposed to be. You shouldn't have ripped their culture from them, family, that plain and simple. Do you know, when you look at this school here, some you can find on the book, St. Catherine's, let's just, take a second or two here. St. Catherine's Industrial Indian School, when you start looking into it, right? From the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament. What sacrament? Because you talking about, man, I could get going in it. Again, the holiness of God. And you talking about Christ. And you talking about the blood of Christ. You talking about the body of Christ. These are the sacraments, huh? You going to tell me that you use that to rip away the language of the holy language they spoke. Inspired of God, they spoke that language. Whether they accounted to the Great Spirit or not, it's sick, family. Again, what 250 are you celebrating? This is into 250 years back in the 19th century when this was built. Boarding school. It's a plantation. The heart of compassion gone from the holy people, and that's why you got it the way it is. But you okay talking about the sex worker out there? You okay talking about the pedophile out there? Right? But then we skip over to racism. I wonder why. No, there needs to come a time again of the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and it may not look like all Christian either. Where we stand up against the wrong, we speak out against it. And whatever they do to us, know that we're standing for a holy cause, family. Again, we're not the ones causing the violence. They are. Oh, well, KJ, you know, somebody looks like somebody burned down their school, blah, 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 blah. Again, there's so many excuses we use. Instead of just looking at the truth of the thing, this school, I don't care, Saint Catherine. Wait, wait. Saint, this is who you put the saint on. This is the set apart person you put. Catherine Drexel, an heiress. Do you know what an heiress is, family? See, again, we speak in the words of Massa. We don't know what it is. Maybe some do, as we're, you know. What's an heiress? A female heir. Okay. Specifically somebody who comes into large amount of money, property, etc. Again, off of Cambridge Dictionary. So, question. You used your money to fund a boarding school. Oh, no. Don't see again. Let go of the defenses. The woman used her money to fund boarding schools. They had black folks in there too, family. That's something you can look up on the books. Natives and black folks. This is why we're not in a fight. Look. The dark brown and tan skin tone peoples on the planet, we ain't in a fight against each other. It's time to band together. Walk in love, peace, power, defense, not causing fights. See, we're not causing fights. Protecting each other. That's what this is. And this also includes your pale and light skin tone brothers and sisters. All right, enough on that. Because I got, we're already gone. We're 40 minutes in. Let's finish off this. X-Men 97. Power to the youth. Okay, because when you talk about the mutants and humans, this is what this is. Again, this season is dealing with Apocalypse, which is the first mutant, and his war that he's going to wind up bringing. Of course, if you watch the original cartoon, you already know Apocalypse bring that war. He's an enemy to the X-Men. He don't care. He don't care. See, this is why we say he's a mutant, just like other mutants. But there's certain mutants that don't lump us all together now. We ain't Now, this is why you have to be careful, because you're not going to put some rogue Negro out there doing weird stuff. I'm not that. But Massa will use that as an excuse to exterminate everybody, because that's the end goal anyway. So the X-Men have pulled through time. That's the end of season. These are spoilers, so my apologies, right? The X-Men have pulled through time by Mother Ascani. Mother Ascani in the comics is a variant of Rachel Summers, which is Cyclops' daughter, right? Just like Nathan that you see at the end, right? Especially when the doctor didn't want to, in season 1, the doctor didn't want to help the birth of a mutant baby from a mutant mama while she in active labor. Where else have we seen that kind of thing in recent history, family, right? Last year, 2 brown women were not allowed to have labor. You look it up. I believe one was in Texas. The other one was in Illinois. I could be wrong on the second one. Telling y'all about Texas. You need to be careful out there. That Mexican hanging tree is right there in Gilead. I think it's spelled Gilead, Texas. Interesting. The Gilead's the same name they use in a Handmaid's Tale. Never mind. What? Ain't that the same state where now you were forced to read the Bible in? Anyway, Apocalypse. Again, we're talking about those who piggyback on holy things to do unholy things. Mother Ascani transports the X-Men from their timeline back in time and also forward in time to prevent Apocalypse's rise. One back in time to make him rethink his ways, which Magneto screws up horribly. One forward in time to encourage Nathan Summers to do what he's got to do and become the, I guess, in-betweener, if you want to say, maybe hero, maybe not a hero, which is Cable. Okay. Again, this is all of these things have awesome parallels and illustrations in these things. Allow our kids to help us. There's a part where there's the note I have here. There's a part there where they're captured, right? In the future. and they're being taken to Apocalypse to be assimilated so Apocalypse can use up the body of Nathan Summers and become stronger and all this other kind of stuff. Because again, he's technically not Jean Grey's son. He's Madeline Pryor, which is a clone of Jean Grey from Mr. Sinister. You watch the first season, y'all, right? Just I get it. It can get a little confusing. Watch the first season. We're good on watching all this confusion out here, and it's like we can make more sense of this mess out here than a comic book, but I digress. Cyclops, Madeline Pryor, that's Cable's. Cable is their son, okay? Which, again, Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey. As a result, though, they had to send him away because, again, the man don't want the offspring, right? Just like the Racial Integrity Act, the man don't want the offspring of these mixtures. None of that going on. Ain't none of that going on. We can kill you all, right? So they send him off. Think about the parents who have to do this. This gets into adoption, right? You've seen it on Teen Mom. There's a group, Tyler and Caitlin, I believe. I could be getting her name wrong. I think it is Caitlin, though, right? And they go through an adoption process, and the adopted parents are kind of, okay, this is just a warning, right? Whoever we choose to do adoption for, we got to be careful. Some people ain't going to let you near your baby, okay? This is just part of the game. We're not agreeing on it one way or the other, but it's what it is, okay? We don't agree on it over here because, again, you're in an agreement and basically a covenant, really, when you think about it. It's just saying what it is. We don't look at covenants the way we should anymore, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, that's the adopted parent. Never mind. On this train, they have to help their son understand his powers. Man, how powerful this is, man. To be able to get them and him out of the trouble. There ain't no time to look down on your babies then, brothers and sisters, is there? Of course, all of, through them telling the story, tell the kids, see, again, in the script, it tells you to talk to them by the wayside, talk to them in the morning, talk to them in the midday, talk to them at night. I'm paraphrasing the verse. This is what it's about. They're not going to learn unless we teach them, not yell at them, not berate them, not hurt them, talk to them. Relate with them. And again, you're going to have to keep in touch with the child in you. See, again, another one of these verses in the script. Unless we are like children, we will not inherit the kingdom. I don't know. I don't know how we miss some of this. Anyway. So again, this a little note here. As parents and guardians, we become way too distracted to listen to and properly assess our children's talents and abilities, no matter how similar to us they might be. It's like you get weird and don't want to help them because they look too much like you. Duh. You helped made them. So of course they're going to look. Again, this is not laughing at people's pain in their families. Okay. And we get all of the variables. So again, we're not being rude here, but it's time for us to understand these things to help them and us. Like it said in the Mando Grogu movie, we understand a little bit of the bombing that it is, but that's just what it is. When it comes to DC movies, I ain't even gotten into Supergirl. When it comes to DC movies, we understand, and I don't look down on that movie at all the way the rest of Hollywood do. Maybe you want to say it's my DC bias. It is what it is. Again, I really just don't think that movie was as bad as the way Hollywood looks at it, right? All these Hollywood critics. At the end of the day, family, we're going to have to give our kids more credit than what we are. Come away from this millennial garbage and this boomer versus generation X, Y, Z, alpha, whatever the name man want to give to people groups. Okay. Come away from all that and start looking at people the way they are. This ain't simping. This is what it is. I thought it was cool in the fight in the train, right? Because again, some people come to help save the day. Morph turns into Thor and he's beating these robots, right? That was cool to see with Thor's hammer. Again, good animation. They show off Cyclops way better. This is not just a whiny, cryy kind of it. Way better now, right? So it's cool to see Cyclops, Forge, and Storm. Right? They rekindle their romance in this season, and again, that is something from the comics. Right? The good native brother and the black sister. I don't know where a lot of this mess is coming from throughout society, but family, the brown, dark, and tan skin tone people, just like the brown, dark, and tan skinned and light and pale skin tone people have always come together in love and marriage and dating and sex. This is what it is. Some of it has been through force interjection, aka sexual abuse, aka rape. We understand. But what we are saying is that the groups of people have always blended together. So whatever lie mass has put out there, because that's what we put it on, right? And even in the tribes of folks' either warnings or, whatever it is that they just don't be around them. Listen, we understand. We hear your concerns. We know that there are a bunch out there that don't give a damn and mean to hurt us, but that is not everybody. So it's good to see Forge and Storm's romance up again. Forge is Cheyenne. He's from the Cheyenne tribe, right? So, and again, we understand Storm is from Africa, right? If you watch the old X-Men show, they have a whole thing on Storm's deal. So again, episode 1 ends where 2 begins, with Cable, Nathan Summers or Nathan Gray turning into, Cable, right? And him becoming grizzled, and war taking a hold in his mind and the pains of his life, right? That they start showing in episode 2 in season 2, I like calling the title of the episode Work Together because that's what it is. The first one to me was Power to the Youth. The second is Work Together. Brothers and sisters, we're going to have to work together. As we come to the close here, right? Dr. Claude Anderson clearly has told us through time, right? And thank God for the brother showing us how we can live through this mess of a system they've made. This is a team sport. Black achievement is great. This is a team sport. Individual Black achievement is great. Individual Black businesses are great. This is a team sport. The most horror that has happened historically has happened when they have burned down collections of Black folks, aka Black towns. We talked about Boley last time. Langston is on the books. We're talking about Oklahoma as the Black hub. That's what it was. Not Atlanta, Georgia. Not the Carolinas, even though those places where we pocketed and spread to. Not up in New York, not in California, kind of like it's accepted today. No, Oklahoma. And they burnt that to the ground, including Tulsa. When you see the resistance, these mutants against Apocalypse's forces, because again, they're in 2 parts of time, in the past and in the future, right? You come up against Emma Frost. They see Emma Frost somewhere in the beginning of the episode before you see Emma, who is basically just in it for herself. Do we know anybody like that in the camp today? They don't really care about one way or the other. They're in it for their own selves, the profit thereof, etc., etc. Family, be careful of these folks. Okay, just saying what it is. Apocalypse kills off the character War. If you remember from the old cartoon, it's the green ball-headed dude who is riding a horse there, right, causing battle between Apocalypse and the X-Men in the old cartoon. Yeah, that dude, Cable, just need to shoot him. Okay. Of course, he's defenseless, so this gets into a little bit of Star Wars kind of stuff. Should we be killing defenseless people, even though they are meaning to do us harm? I'm just going to leave that out there. I'm just going to leave that question right there. We ain't going to give comment one way or the other. That's homework for y'all. Okay. Again, we have to be careful. We should defend ourselves. I'm a little bit of a blend of Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We should defend ourselves. But if you start turning into them, then you ain't no different than them. Okay. Just saying what it is. Again, I'm not saying we shouldn't defend ourselves. So, X-Force. At the beginning of the episode, they show, instead of it being the X-Men and the X-Jet is flying and all this other, or the Blackbird, is flying and all that kind of stuff, they're showing the X-Force. So that was cool how they introduced the members of the X-Force, get the viewer to, be cool with that, right? X-Force is fighting X-Factor. X-Factor is a government-backed group of mutants to help the blending, integration family. This is another one of those words I can get into. I'm going to do it later. But integration has a lot of a farce to it, not because people cannot live together. We already are. We're down here on the planet living together. The problem is the system by which meaning to do it. This is not for the blending of all the people groups to live together. This is for massa to rule and reign over the blending of people living together. That is two totally different things. Again, we said twisting holy notions. So, of course, people can live together. That's obvious. Not in the master system, though. And clearly in the camp, just like you see in Andor with the rebels fighting each other before they got the point that this is the rebels versus the Empire, not the rebels versus the rebels. Mutants have to, there was that whole thing that they showed, which I like that it brought that thought to light, right? If you're working for that government, you better not be working for all of it. Anyway, not if they're not working for you. James Baldwin was right. I'm not pledging allegiance to people who do not pledge allegiance to me. And we know Massa don't give a damn about the dark brown and tan. Not a damn. Not a damn. And this includes pale and light skin tone. Not a damn. They'll put you on a chopping block just the same. There is no, again, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. There's a discussion as a result of this fight between Polaris and Jubilee, which is good to see. It's also sad to see because it shows one group is just all hail massa and the other one is not. Okay. At the end of the episode, let's see. Kids are tougher than you think. That's a quote from Cable. And brothers and sisters, believe it to be true. You look at these kids in Palestine, it's tough. It's tough for them. You look at kids in the inner city, it's tough. It's tough for them. This is stuff that's coming from the adults they have to deal with. You look for folks in the suburbs that have to be forced into this pseudo Bridgerton-like kind of life to live that is meaningless and empty just to pass down power and wealth because of greed. That's tough for them. That's tough for them. Life is meaningless to them. Yeah, you think as parents, as adults, we think it's got meaning. It got no meaning because we're blinded. We stop seeing. We stop looking. Parents who have to live under their, kids who have to live under their parents' weird, I want my kid to be a baseball player. Or I want my kid to be a famous nurse and all this. And then you start putting pressures on them and stuff they don't even want to do. Yeah, it's tough for them. That's tough for them. We create our own problems, family. You, me, everybody. Right? It's just time to uncreate them. And we uncreate them becoming disconnected from this mess. A little note here. Adults of today were children of the past. So I don't understand how we missed it. See, again, when you disconnect from you, of course you're going to miss it. You can't hide your kids from everything. Some things they have to experience. Some things they need to experience with you there to help guide them through. Even if they're mad at you. Good God, help us today, man. The sins of the parents and also the triumphs. We always go on the sins, but the triumphs as well, passed down from generation to generation, right? Our actions today are the answers to the actions of yesterday that also shape tomorrow. I'll say it again. Our actions today are the answers to the actions of yesterday that also shape tomorrow. So, let's see. I know I'm probably an hour over. Well, we're right at an hour. Okay. Wow. That's episode 3. This is where it is. They dropped 3 episodes. So we're going to do this one and we're going to go on. Episode 3, The Rise of Apocalypse. Okay. That's what we call it. Actually, I think it is actually The Rise of Apocalypse. but it ends on a cliffhanger. It's like the part one and all that kind of thing, right? The old cartoon used to do that a lot. So we'll see what they come out with. I think it's next Tuesday. We'll see what they come out with. The Rise of Apocalypse. Be careful who we getting our information from. Good God, especially on this weekend, man. Be careful who you getting your information from. You got some people that's gonna say that a school, Catholic school maid, is a good thing as an Indian school, and yet we can look at history and clearly see what went on in that school was wrong. You look at that Yellowstone TV show. I finally remembered it and said it without pausing, man. You look at that. Maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. You look at that TV show and you got that Catholic nun just whooping that native daughter's hands for speaking in her own tongue God blessed her with. The invader come in here, hitting her, whooping her, beating her. You look up the clip online, family. Do you think that's godly? That's godly. Don't you know they think that's godly? What do you think? Again, be careful who we get our information from. As it is said, he who controls. This comes from our dear native sister, Wilma Mankiller, right? The first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, right? Be careful, family, who we get our information from. He who controls the education of your children controls your future. So for the adults who get on a high horse, keep talking all of this millennial, Generation X, and this generation, this, that, and the other, while there are differences within the generations, how we live, and we can have those discussions in some normal manner instead of always making fun of each other, know that the education they are feeding them hurts you or helps you too. Carter Godwin Woodson made the same type of statement. When you control a man's thinking, you don't have, this is in the book, this is in the foreword of the book, Miseducation of the Negro. Again, another one of these books that should be in people's library. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to tell him where to stand or where to go. And you can see it today. You got a lot of mental puppets, family. They're not thinking. They're just reacting off what somebody else did. Droids, family. And we think these sci-fi movies is fake? Nah. They put that there to let you know what they're doing. And they just put in a very entertaining form. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to tell him, stand here or go there. He will find his, and he put it in quotes in the book, proper place and will stay there. It's time to break from the chains in the mind, family. Yeah, they took them off the feet. Yeah, and we celebrate. They took them off the feet and the arms and off the neck. But they made sure to leave them in the mind. And as a man thinketh, we know men, even though the scripts say man, it's also women. And so we say as a person, or as a man or woman, thinketh in their heart, so are they. Another thing from this, because again, Magneto sitting here talking, you look at the beginning of the episode, Magneto trying to talk to Apocalypse. Now, he was not truthful with Apocalypse or in Sabanur. That was his name before he was called Apocalypse in the early stages of his life. Right? He lied to him. It was for a good cause because he was trying to get his X-Men buddies back home. You know, Magneto at some point wasn't full on, destroy all people. That wasn't, Magneto had a little bit of a conflict of interest in the beginning, which I like the fact that this cartoon or TV show plays around with that. Another note here, life never adds necessary changes until you buck back in a balanced manner against a broken system of function. However that buck back looks, so be it. In Sabanur, listening to Magneto was probably a bad idea. Just knowing Magneto, that's come on, right? We understand where he's coming from. We understand the pain, but we're talking about the product of the pain. Put that one in a church sermon. The product of the pain, family, is a very dangerous thing sometimes. Sometimes it isn't. Quote, I may have abilities. This is coming from Insab Noor. We're talking about in the mind of the oppressed. This is how it is. This is how the oppressor puts this in the mind of the oppressed. Magneto's telling them truth, but it's underlined under deception. So it will hurt the reception of the truth. This is like the story in the script talking about the sower sowing the word, right? Sowing seeds. And it gets amongst stony ground. You're blocking the seed from growing with the stones in the ground. This is for you and me. I may have abilities, but people like me are only born to dream of survival. Not thriving, just survival. We ain't gonna go into the definition of the word survival. We'll leave that for some folks. Magneto's response, which was good. That is a story told by the oppressor who need you to fear them. Absolutely right, because they need you. Again, they're lazy. Again, we could get into the book. Again, a school history. This is in 1895. Negro race in America, talking about how lazy. So some, see, again, they talk about one town, but some so-called white people, all white people aren't. Some are, though. The ones that normally talk about how hard their grandfather worked were the patsies used by Massa to establish this mess that is now. But I digress. Again, under the blindness that it was going to do something for you. And we will, again, we could get into it, but we're not going to. I'm gonna leave it alone. Maybe another time as we're talking. Maybe we'll double back the next episode when we're talking about the X-Men stuff. We'll give you the quote. This thing ends in division, destruction, and death, family. That's where this episode ends. Magneto's deception and not telling him that he was trying to get his X-Men buddies back to the future and giving him the whole truth of himself. Sometimes you got to let folks, again, sometimes you got to let folks, I didn't say this for everybody, sometimes you got to let folks know what's coming so they can make an informed decision, which is why we're honest here on this podcast. I'm not going to sit here and give you fluff. Tell you some holy story about these lands and no, it was death and theft on the mind. That's what it was, using holy notions. Listen, is using holy notions. We don't take away from God. We don't take away from faith. We don't take away from none of that. All those things are necessary in this life. It is the energy by which that holds and binds things together, but we're not going to sit here and not tell you the truth as well. That unholy people used it to kill off the people in the Caribbean and to hurt them. People want to talk about Haiti, but the actions of Europeans is why Haiti's economic system screwed the way it is now. And they won't lift a hand to help them. But that's Massa's characteristics. They don't lift a hand to help. They make you do the work. This was wild for me to find all this out, family, but it's the truth. No one taught me. I found a lot of this information out, and I still am. And it hurts. But it's the truth. And what your Bible says is that the truth will set you free. Division now is started between Noor and Magneto. And Saba Noor is now seeing the lie and the deception, which is not really fully there. This is why I tell the truth. That you weren't perfect. That you was out at that party one night. Tell the truth. And then deal with the consequences or the rewards. Because every one of these things doesn't end poorly. Normally, that's just the fear in your mind telling you that if you tell the truth, it's going to end poorly. It's not always the case. And death. And Saba Noor starting to kill folks. He kills a defenseless man. So Cable is doing it in the last episode. Now you got Saba Noor doing it in this one. Another note here that we'll end here. Magneto's half-truth caused a platform by which it helped Saba Noor make a poor decision. Tell those in your life the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. Family, that's where we're going to stop today. Your brother didn't talk long enough, man. It's an hour and 9 minutes. Again, we thought we were going 30. That thing went 39 minutes over, right? But again, it's been a minute since we talked to y'all. So this is what it is. We thank you, family, for your support. Again, you not only can you find the podcast on Apple and Pandora and Spotify, of course, shout out to Spotify family. You can find it on YouTube. The YouTube channel is a different view at a different view 80, right? And that's what we got. That's what we got for y'all. We're going to leave it there. Family, thank you very much for your support. I love y'all. God bless y'all. And until next time, and as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.